Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 1037 for the 26th of December. We're going to go into the Kherson front first, and we're going to go anti-clockwise. So we have fighting reported at the Dnipro direction, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Not sure where exactly that is. There is some shelling report over at Antonivka, as well as Veletensky. So not significant per se. Some geolocations, however, we have geolocation of a FPV drone strike hitting a Ukrainian artillery just off Hontarny. So this probably is doing some shelling operations against the Russian forces along this river delta region of the Dnipro River. And we also have a Lancet strike on the Ukrainian radar near Ovtrivsky. So on near Ovtrivka, so which is interesting. And Ukrainian radar got hit. So I wonder what's the deal with having a radar deployed so close to the front line. Um, at, especially this is a very quiet or no quiet front line. Over at the Zaporizhia front, we have both defense ministries reported the same thing. They both reported that there is fighting reported at the Novoandrievka region at the Orkhiv sector. So both reported this, which is quite interesting to me. But that's about it. The entire rest of the Zaporizhia front is pretty quiet. We go into the Velika Novosilka sector. Fighting is reported at Temerivka, Zelenopole, Rivnopil, Vremivka, as well as at Sterizove. So and there's fighting reported at Novikoma as well. So this is pretty much the same strategic situation. There's no updates regarding the sectors. So that's all we know for now. We move on over into the Constantinople region. We have fighting reported at Constantinople. The Russian forces have been geolocated in two different locations as they advance yet another tree line moving in the direction of Roslev. There is fighting reported at Yatarny. Russian Defense Ministry announced the capture of HIHANT, and there is fighting reported at Konstantinopolsk. So that's about it from this region. Very slow news in this region. The Russians are not known to have crossed the river towards Yatarny just yet. So yeah, tentatively is the Russians are still in a progressive, slowly, moving to take this position, this around Roslev and south of Constantinople. So moving towards to the Kurakove sector, we have fighting reported at Kurakove itself. There's fighting reported in the region of Sonsevka, Petropavlivka, as well as towards Andrievka. So, which is a kind of a weird chain because they're all in the one line. So unclear what they mean by Andrievka in the fighting in the report. This according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Around Sonsevka in the north, the Russian forces have taken some grounds and as well as the forest around in the northwest of Sonsevka. So there's some updates. I did mention this in the frontline changes report. Moving further up north, over in the southern flank of the Pokrovsk front, fighting is reported at Slovianka and Ukrainka, Novoelenivka. Despite the Russian forces basically have captured there, but we still have the Ukrainian Defense Ministry still talking about fighting in that region. Geolocation of Russian forces entering into Novoyelizaveta, and fighting is moving towards Nedievka. So that's about it. A lot of frontline changes, which I did mention in the frontline changes report, based on Ukrainian mapping of Russian advance in this sector. We move further up north, north of Novoyelizaveta. So we have Russian advance in this sector. This is the one that is moving towards the Nedievka. And there is also some small advancement over at Novovasilivka and Novotroitsky. So this region here is already part of the Pokrovsk sector already. As we move into the Pokrovsk sector, so just as mentioned just now, Novovasilivka was mentioned. Novotroitsky continues to be in the reports according to both Russian and Ukrainian Defense Ministry, as they use this as a blanket term for the fighting in the entire region here. Fighting, however, is reported at Voskove. Pischane. There is some small frontline change in the east of Pischane, fighting as Shevchenko, moving to Pokrovsk. Vorozhenia is captured, or at least announced to be captured by the pro-Russian sources. Fighting, however, is in this sector. Russian mapping claims that they have flattened the front line all the way to the edge of Zeleny. Fighting is reported at Zeleny, Novoyukrainka, Dechansky. The Russian claims also Dechansky, according to the Russian sources. And there's fighting reported at Lesevka. So as you can see, this entire region is just super spiky. Everywhere the Russians are pushing across the entire front line. So this is definitely the hottest front across the Ukraine war right now. Geolocation of a truck getting destroyed by FPV drone in the south of Pokrovsk. So that's all we have at this moment in this sector. Over in the Minograd sector, we have fighting reported at Mariupolka and Minograd itself, and that's it. Very quiet in this sector, as this is going to be a static front line, as I said many times. So moving on, there is on the northern flank, there is only fighting reported at Vozdevizhenka, and that's all. This is the last of the reports from the Pokrovsk front, and we move into the Torex front. At the Torex front, we have fighting reported at Novopaske or Petrivka. Although the report wrote Petrivskoye, but I can't find another Petrivskoye in the front line, so I suppose they typo it. It's actually Petrivka. And fighting is reported at Skabinivka, Torex, as well as Dilievka. There is no news regarding the banana over at Skabinivka, so it still remains to be a weird situation over there. So that's all from the Torex front. We move into the Bakhmut front. At the Bakhmut front, we have fighting reported towards Oleksandro Shetine, Bilokhora, Stupovsky, and Chasivya. It's weird that Alexandro Shetine was mentioned, because this is reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. They say that the area of the settlement of Alexandro Shetine was under attack. How is it under attack? Because there is Bilokhora on the east. Did the Russians come from the south? And how did they reach there? There is 2 Dilievka that the Russians have to capture before they can reach Alexandro Shetine. So a bit weird. So a bit of a weird report from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. We move on to the Siversk front. At the Siversk front, we have fighting reported in the region of Siversk. Platonivka was mentioned, which is weird because this is nowhere near the front line. Again, this is by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So there's fighting reported at Bilohorivka as well as Kharkovivka. So that's all for Siversk. Yeah, because usually when you have all these names in the rear positions, it's usually from the Russian Defense Ministry, because they talk about shelling as well, because they say that they done fire damage on their opponents. But the Ukrainian Defense Ministry said fighting. The Russians are attacking in the areas of Platonivka is like super far. So not exactly sure. Over at the Liman front, we have fighting reported through the Serebiansky Forestry, Torske, Zarishny, and Terny. So that's all from the Liman front. We move on further up north. At the Sverove front, we have fighting reported at Druzilubivka and Makievka. Nothing particularly stand out for me. We move on into the Borova front. We have fighting reported at Sheneshkina or Sheneshchina, Novoserhievka, Koparanki, Zereny High. Borova was mentioned, probably just shelling, and Lozova. So nothing really changes strategically in this sector. Over in the Pischane front, Lozova was already mentioned just now. There's fighting reported at Zarizove, Krylyakivka, Novokrylyakivka, and Bohuslavka. So the Russians are pushing really hard in this direction, south of Krylyakivka. So let's see. Let's see how this continue to play. We'll move on to the Kupiansk front. There is only Kisharivka being mentioned, and there's fighting reported at Ivanivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. So that's all. Nothing new. Moving on to the Voreshna front. This front line continued to be active, with fighting reported at Voreshna and Zapadny. Reports coming from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry and the Russian Defense Ministry. The Ukrainians talk about Zapadny, the Russians talk about Voreshna. So yeah, both is probably still active right now. We move on to the Kharkiv front. At the Kharkiv front, we have fighting reported at Starisia, Voschansk, Kotori, as well as Mariupol. So I would say no, nothing particularly special. No, Voschansk, Kotori, and Mariupol most likely is just shelling, as they have mentioned by the Russian Defense Ministry. So nothing really no special no for me over here. Over at the Kursk front. At the Kursk front, on the entire southern flank, there is no reports of fighting, neither is there on the eastern flank. In the northern flank, we only have the fighting being reported at Drushkoy, Parashnoye, as well as Novaya Sorokina. The rest is coming from the western flank at fighting at Krylenkoye, Viktorovka, Nikolsky, Leonidovo, Alexandria, Lebedevka, Svetiklovo, as well as Nikolaevo Darino. So the entire western flank is pretty much more or less the same. Just that the northern flank is mainly about Novaya Sorokina and Ruskoye Parshnoye. The rest is just no. Yeah, there's no more reports. It's kind of unusual, but that's it. So this fighting report at the Kursk is or for yesterday's report. The Russians did come out new reports for today, but it is not part of this report. So I will talk about it, in tomorrow's report because this is the SITREP for yesterday. But in terms of geolocation and frontline changes, this is the latest as per this recording. So so there's no frontline changes per se, so nothing to worry about. So that's it. And that's it. There's nothing else. This is the summary for the day of 1037 for the 26th of December. Very short SITREP. Thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the. And also check out the pinned comment. The DPA Awards is now up for voting, so go and vote. And I'll see you guys in the next update.